today we have Blake, who is I'm going to read this so I get it right. So we from Milford, Pennsylvania. He is a Chinese medicine clinician or doctor, whatever you want to call him, from Workerbee Community Acupuncture. And he's been studying with me for a couple of years, but we'll confirm how long. And recently, he's been able to start emitting energy, Faqi, the way that we like to call it, on his own. And hopefully, we're going to get some information from him. So, welcome, Blake. Do you want to add to that or introduce
Yeah,
yourself a little
yeah,
bit?
yeah. Nice to see you, man. Yeah, I've been practicing Neigong for since summer of 2015. Started with Master Zhang Feng, that you
Mm.
know quite well, knew, and then went on after he passed to Brother Wu, who's now Master Wu, um, and then found you, which was amazing. A little stint with Master Cheng, but that was through
Mhm.
you. So.
Okay.
Uh, And then, yeah, you introduced us to Master Joe,
Mhm.
and you have been integral in this whole part, this whole thing that I've experienced. Probably the most influential out of
Thank
any of
you.
it. Yeah.
It's nice to hear. Thank you. So, when did you start with me? It must have been a while ago if you met Master Chung. So it would have been early days,
Yeah,
2021, 22.
I think so. It was, yeah, it was somewhere around there. It's definitely been more than a couple of years,
So it's
for
safe to
sure.
say, I mean, 2022 was the trips with Master Zhang and Chung,
Yeah.
not Master Zhang from the other Master Zhang. Um, so it's about 4 years or so. Okay, great. So
Yeah.
when you started training, was this always the goal? Was it always to be a doctor, to work and to use Fachi for your patients, or was it something
Yeah.
different?
Yes. Well, like it's funny because in the West, and I think even in China, the notion of qi is kind of spread out, and there's a heavy opinion that it might even have been misunderstood neuroanatomical sensations that they didn't quite understand, and they were misunderstanding the whole concept, and they were describing many sensations that we can, I don't know, justify in the West as far as just like gross anatomy. And there was this part of me that's like, I don't think they were that wrong. And so there's part of me that wanted to explore it for myself to see if like intercultivation and distribution of it was real, and to not lose probably one of the most important parts of the medicine. So because as you know, it takes work.
Yeah.
It's like building, if you want to be a bodybuilder and you want to build like strong biceps, you got to work out all the time, and you got to have years of dedication to change your physique. And so it's the same with this. It's like we have to put in multiple hours daily for years to try to have something to show. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of the doctors and practitioners in the West and East don't they don't give it enough time, they don't believe it enough, and therefore there's so few that try to cultivate this thing. And so that was the main goal, to do that, to show myself, to prove to myself, or to weed it out, to say,
Yeah.
it's not real. But obviously it is. And then the end goal is definitely to help people, like to make the treatments, to see if it enhances treatments, like and make sure that's something that is effective and makes the treatments even more effective, which it does. So it's like it's great all around.
Yeah, so that's a good thing you said that. We'll come back to the treatments in a little bit because we have some
Yeah,
videos of you actually treating patients that we're going to discuss and look at.
yeah,
But I just wanted to kind of go over a few things before we got to the videos. So you've been training for a long time. It's about 11 years now, right?
yeah.
And with different teachers and so on. And eventually you came to me and you've been doing my stuff for the last 4 years or so.
Mhm.
What changed? So you went from training every day and doing all this, and then all of a sudden you could start emitting energy by yourself without being on the trips, without our help. This is your accomplishment. So how did that change? How did you go from training every day to not being able to do something to all of a sudden realizing that something is different inside of you now and that you can actually do something? So can you walk us through that kind of process and what happened?
Yeah. I have, yeah, and I have to mention, even before this started to happen, when I started training with you, I had chi rising, which is a lot of people have that problem of chi not really settling in the dantian, and you showed me some really simple things that tweaked my sitting practice and a couple other things that helped ground me enough to not have that happen. And so then it gave me the time and ability to do the other practices that I think were not being wasted in the years prior, but I wasn't getting the effect out of them like as I should have. And so definitely with your advice, and then the treatments leading up to, like when we would go on the trips and we would get our adjustments and maybe a pill or two, to enhance. Uh, that really was a big step. And then on the last trip, there was some more channel adjustments by yourself and Master Joe that it just really started to. I can only say I just felt more sensations. There's a little bit of soft practice that I added that I think helped open up. That helped, but it was only because of the things that were built before it that I was learning and practicing from you that I started to feel my feet open. And I've never felt that before. And other guys say they feel it. They feel
Yeah.
that, I've talked to some of the other guys and they're like, no, I feel my feet, but I never felt my feet. And I feel like that full body connection, as in like some of the other, like in Tai Chi, when they're trying to develop Fa Jin, they say it has to drop all the way to the feet to come back
Yeah.
up and complete the circuit. So I feel that was a major stepping stone for me that connected some things. And then it just started to develop from there as far as sensations and uh, yeah. And then should I tell the one lady that the old
Yeah,
lady?
yeah. I mean, how it started and so on. And I mean, there's
Yeah.
this one thing before you tell that story that's important
Sure.
to note is what somebody says, oh, I feel my feet opening, doesn't mean it's the same thing as what you're experiencing. So there's many different sensations that might occur that don't all mean the same thing. For instance, when bubbling springs, so when kidney one starts opening up and the bottom of the foot starts bubbling for ages, that happens for about a week. That doesn't imply that all of a sudden the channels are open in the same way that your channels are now open. It's not the same thing. So it's important to distinguish that sometimes when people are talking about something, they don't necessarily mean the same thing as you, even if they're using the same words.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, it was like maybe it was the last part of it because I felt so many other uh, important zones open except for those. Like,
Okay.
it was like this was open, the back way, back of my neck to 14, the palms, the dantian, like there was all these other places and then feet. And then once feet for me,
Hmm.
whatever sense, and they were different sensations too. It was like a multitude of different things going on that I couldn't figure out what it was. I was just wondering, but once that they all kind of lit up, then things started to happen. And it was like, yeah, I guess it was just a final connection in a different way. Best guess, it's still a mystery as to some of this. I mean, the internal workings a little more than most. So I, that's all I could put together.
Yeah,
So
I don't want to give away too much of the internal stuff anyway, but there is
yeah, good.
the what you said about the whole body coming together and the linking of certain key meridians is quite important when it comes to Faqi. So, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head there.
Uh,
Okay, so that's kind of how it started, and in clinic, what happened the first time when you tried to do this, or was it an accident, or what's the story behind how you realized that you
yeah.
could now do this?
Yeah, it was definitely a surprise kind of happenstance. And there was this little old lady that comes every once in a while, and I was starting to feel some major sensations in the palms, like kind of like on the pericardium channel into the middle finger, and it was almost like cramping. Like it wasn't hurtful, it just was fluttering, and it was kind of doing these little twitches in between doing just some little practices to wake it up that I do through if I have 5 or 10 minutes between each person, I take a little bit to do something, and it keeps the body aligned with the energy through the day. And uh, so I go in and I take her pulse and we talk a little bit, and I start to feel out this point on her right leg It's a kidney point on the inside of the ankle, and I have the needle in my right hand, and I'm feeling with my left middle finger just to feel it. And as soon as I slid my finger onto the point, this huge zap, like I felt it, and
Oh
then
wow.
she yelped. She like
Yeah.
yelped and said, "Well, what the hell did you just do?" And I was holding the needle, and she said she felt it from the inside of her ankle down to the bottom of the foot.
Wow.
So, and it wasn't a static, it wasn't like static electricity, because I have that web carpet and
Yeah.
that happens all the time, little static shocks, but and then people don't even feel them. But this was this was different. And she kind of yelped, and I didn't bother really explaining because she's not of that mindset. But I was like looking at it, and then I showed her, I said, I didn't put the needle in. I said, I just felt your point. And she's like, I don't get it. And then I just like kind of looked at my hand. I was like, oh my God, please let this be true. Like let this thing be happening right now.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like, there were some more things that happened after that. And then I decided to start testing, like holding the needle. If I felt something, I just kind of give it a little time and see if I could transmit through the needle little by little. So, and eventually, as the months went on, this was, I don't know, this was a little past 6 months ago, I would say. Um, and then it's so little by little, I just start to test on random people. And then it eventually started to ramp up
Wow.
and become more solid, become more of a thing that I could do a little quicker. Sensations got stronger, not for everyone. Um, I should tell everyone that I treat between 18 and 20 people a day, average, and I only do this on about between 3 and 5 people.
Yeah.
I'll test it on throughout the day, and it's kind of like depending on, I'm still trying to figure this out, but depending on how much I have in the tank,
Yeah.
and how blocked they are, like whether it's some kind of stagnation, whether it's from deficiency or dampness or true blood stagnation, whatever it is,
Yeah.
uh, the output sensation for them and for me is different. And so some
Yeah.
people are reacting really strongly, really quickly,
Mhm.
and some people barely feel it.
Yeah.
Um, but the good news with the people that barely feel it is that the outcomes still tend to be much better
Yeah.
with less needles, with less, and minus scars. Scars for sure are a problem. Scarring above or below a point and distribution, definitely. I put that together that there's just so much inhibition of flow between the fascia
Yeah.
and other nerves that connect to that too. Um, Definitely. I just had a, can I give you another example?
Yeah. Yeah. Go for it. Go for it.
Just a couple of days ago, there was someone with thumbs, like they have really bad thumb kind of arthritis type feelings
Yeah.
and here. And usually I just do the local points. Like
Yeah.
I'll just do some local stuff, maybe some channel things.
Mm.
And I decided to do the lung point at the elbow because
Okay.
it's just heavy, thick fascia there and
Yeah.
some nerve access. And her right is definitely where she's a righty. So
Mm.
it's worse on the right with use. And we did the left first, and it was like instant. It
Oh
was
wow. Okay.
like she could feel it all the way down, and she even had a little fasciculation of the muscle. She cramped. She felt some heavy, pretty substantial sensations running down
Mm.
the arm. And this is I hold the needle static. Like I'm
Yeah.
not doing. Someone asked in the group, what's the difference between Dutchy and Faqi through the needle, which was a good question, and he already knew
Yeah.
the
Yeah. It's a
answer.
fair question. Yeah.
And so there's, that duchy is like manipulation of the needle,
Yeah.
like a deliberate kind of like coaxing of the
Yes.
tissue, and you might be contacting some nerves too.
Yeah.
This, what I'm doing always is holding, and you'll see it in the videos,
Yeah.
holding it as static as possible. Like, and
Yes.
I'm resting my hand on the person's wherever I'm doing it. So the only thing you'll see is if it's on the abdomen, they're breathing. It might
Yeah.
be, or if they chuckle. There's a guy
Yeah.
that laughs
Yeah.
at it like
They chuckle. Yeah.
but that's after the fact. But yeah, so it's static holding with intent, breathing, focus. So anyway, this lady felt it, and then we went to the right arm, and you could tell right away it was like less. There was it was
Yeah.
I was trying harder. She was feeling it, but then she was feeling the distribution kind of go
All red.
different
Yeah.
sensations,
Mm.
and it was lighter, and then she felt a burning She thought the needle was here,
Okay.
and I was doing the point up here. So it was
Okay.
at least 2.5, 3 inches away.
Yeah.
And she felt this searing burning, like
Mhm.
right here. And it turns out it got through a little bit, but it turns out when I was finally done, I went to that. She pointed out where it was, and she goes, "Oh, the needle wasn't there. It was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was feeling this thing kind of like just stop right here." And we felt the tissue, and it's really inhibited. She has
Yeah.
like some major like adhesions and
Mm.
stuff there. So it just tells me like true blockage, like true gross
Yeah.
anatomy blockage that we have
Yeah.
to work on. And so it's
Mm.
this nice learning process of like how are things stagnant? How are they blocked? What inhibits the chi more? So, but the feedback from this was great. Like,
Yeah.
didn't touch this area, and she's like, "This is wonderful. This is
Yeah.
doing great."
It's really good. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. So, I mean, it does seem, and with my experience as well, is once you've got an ability to get chi to the hands in the way that you're not able to do, even your basic acupuncture is more effective. So
Mm.
you're not actively trying to push chi, but the chi is there and it's going. And then when you do a little bit more, there's more effects. So that's fantastic to hear. It's really, really good. And what about yourself? Do you feel anything in yourself when you're doing this, or do you not feel anything at all?
I feel I feel my feet kind of kick in. I usually feel a lot on the back of my neck and in tongue. Like
Yeah.
that, those all kind of light up. The hands are kind of obvious, like they just, and the more I hold the needle, the more kind of staticky
Yeah.
electricity. It usually
Mm.
ends up coalescing and going down the middle.
Okay.
I try to engage, like, I'm holding the needle, there's only so much room, but I try to get that middle finger, both index and middle, on the needle. So there's that contact with the middle finger,
Yeah.
because I think that's important. The other fingers, not so much, like the last two.
Mm.
But yeah, definitely some stronger sensations. There's sometimes there's a rising that, and I've experimented with, the way we test
Yeah.
like this. So when I do that, it's definitely enhancing the output, but it's not like testing where it's just on and off. It's not
Mm.
like on off. Like
Yeah.
it's a dialing up,
Mm.
and every time the output's getting a little lower, um, I'll do it again. And if I do it between 1 and 3 times, then all of a sudden there's a ramping up,
Yeah.
and it'll kind of, and I can feel a pulse in my hand. The pulse of it actually increases.
Okay.
It's like do 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 do
Oh,
do, and
okay.
then it starts
That's
to slow
interesting.
down
Yeah.
again. So the amplitude and frequency of it change,
Mm.
and with some of this, and even trying some of the no touch, like there's a different circuit that happens with this, with
Yeah.
kind of gathering and grabbing and pointing down towards the needle, and or going up to the shoulder and out. And
Yeah.
that I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, and I'm definitely a righty. Like I'm favoring my right more. So I try
Yeah.
to do
To kind of do it.
my
No,
left
fair
the
enough.
other day.
Yeah, so just for people that are watching this that might not understand what you're gesturing, so there's two ways of Faqi in the schools that we're kind of involved in. So the one is using the hand to come up and kind of guide the chi down the arm and back again, and the other way is Master Joe's favorite way, where you're kind of using this hand to modulate the amplitude of the other hand, and that's what he's talking about. So if you're unsure about that, just watch some of the other videos on my channel. There's many examples of both ways being used. Okay, so I mean that's really 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 interesting. Let's have maybe a look at some of the videos.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll let them play without any kind of explanation of what's going on, and then afterwards we can go through and you can kind of just chat.
All the way past the kneecap. Like you can see, oh, there.
Moria.
Yeah, that feels really good. It goes straight down. And you can feel your toe. It's amazing. little toe. I don't think it's moved this much in forever.
Can you wiggle it a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, it's a lot.
Good. I feel like, I don't know, just, I don't have any control in my arms. Just fluttering back and forth. Both of them.
What's happening in this video?
So that I've already finished the arm movement, and I'm waiting because I feel something, and she already felt some things kind of going to her hip, because that's the problem. I'm doing a point called the stomach 26. It's in a different system. It's a hip and leg point, a major one.
Okay.
So I've been testing that out a lot, specific points, repeatedly on different people. And so I already finished the arm movement, and I kind of felt a little more. So I was just holding it there for a little bit and seeing what happened. And just at the culmination of before I was going to do it again, her whole left leg, she had like a jolt, a big, and she felt it. It was a pretty substantial jolt. And that was the kind of the culmination of all the energy ramping up that she was already feeling, because she was describing all sorts of sensations on the left, especially into the hip, which was good, because I want to see if that has a direct connection. And for most people, it does. Most people, it really does distribute.
Straight down into the hip,
Yeah, and then down the leg, some people, but it's the general area of where that point is supposed to go is happening pretty consistently on almost everyone I do. So that's a nice thing to test. And it's noteworthy to say, I've done points like this on people 1,000 times. I mean, I've used that point a ton, and I've manipulated it like heavy manipulation with the needle. No one ever gets that sensation. Like I'm doing it by theory. And so to have the chi justify where it's supposed to go instead of some kind of nerve reaction or, just hammering away on the point aggressively or even e-stim. The difference between this chi and electrical, synthetic created, exogenous electricity.
No, 100%.
It's different. It's different. And so, I mean, I think we can say that the closest thing this is to outside is bioelectricity, but there's something more to it. There's something more to it. Because I could do e-stim and aggressive needling, manual manipulation all the time on that. I never get that sensation. Never.
No, there's definitely probably in your experience, but in my experience, like there's an intelligence behind chi. So you can just have an intention of what you want to do. The chi will flow and do it. And that's my experience. So, and the nice thing is this is also kind of validating, the theory of TCM and meridian theory, and how the body is this entire unit of just electrical pathways that happen. So yeah, that's fantastic. Shall we move on to the next, or is there anything else about this video that you wanna add?
No. Other than that, she just and also a great outcome, like pain wise and all the rest. I've done all sorts of treatments on her. Local, on her side, on her back, on her belly, like all sorts of different styles and looking for things. And this was the simplest and the most effective. It's beautiful.
I mean, that's all patients want, isn't it? Something simple that works. Okay, so that's fantastic. I mean, really, really good. Let's look at the next one. In this video, what's happening?
This is a little more subtle because you don't see any like the only reaction you see is she had left upper back pain. That was really, I mean, this was pretty acute. Like she had trouble getting on the table.
Oh, wow.
And same thing, like I've done that back point, which is a bladder point. It's very, very common for back pain. It's like a go-to theory wise. And I was definitely she was feeling it right away. You can't hear it. If the audio was up in the video, I'm sorry, it's poor audio, but she was already feeling it. And so you have to remember every time I have this recorded, I'm doing it again because I'm getting someone to come record.
Yeah. So yeah, that first reaction
So she was already feeling it strong, and I said, "Oh, okay, I'll go get someone." And so they nice enough to record. And so after a couple of gathering and distributing and guiding, I decided to try to just guide up fully. Let's just see if intent can guide it fully up there. And on that try, when I guided it up to the area, you could see her hands kind of clench like this.
Mhm.
And she's saying, you can't hear it, but she's saying, "Oh, I feel it right up into my back." Like
Okay.
right. And she points to it she kind of gestures to it as I'm
That's what she's
starting it
doing.
over
Okay.
again. Yeah, on the left. So that's her really feeling that. And again, it was a great outcome too. And it was barely not many points at all.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. That's really, really good. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, it's working. Okay, so what's happening in this video?
No. So this lady has MS,
Mhm.
and she really doesn't have much movement of her whole left leg. She has a walker, and
Okay.
so she drags her foot.
Oh,
She just
wow.
drags
Okay.
her leg, and she usually can't lift her thigh. She
Mhm.
usually can't move her left foot much at all. She doesn't have much strength in the flexors at all.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so again, I got her. She was feeling it right away,
Mm.
and um, she was feeling the distribution straight down, kind of like the stomach channel, all the way down to the foot. And she's describing in the audio, she's describing the sensation
Mm.
of feeling it all the way down her leg. And then I ask her if she can move her foot more. Like, can she move it? And she's like very, very confident. She's like, yeah, yeah. And then so she's asking, and you just see her flexing her foot, which is so much more movement than she's
Yeah.
ever gotten. And then after the treatment, I don't have the video for that, but after the treatment, she can even lift her thigh. The power in her thigh is more,
Okay.
so she's not dragging
Yeah.
it. And
No,
so
that's
she said she's getting so much more. And I've done that point on her 1,000 times.
yeah.
Like I've been treating her for about a year. And
Prior to being able to
yeah,
image. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and
Okay.
I've done that point.
Mm.
I could get a strike on it's like kind of a genitofemoral nerve access
Mhm.
point, like in that area, and I could get a strike of a nerve, and she likes that.
Uh-huh.
But as of the last couple of months, I couldn't even get it. I couldn't get the nerve to even react.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, oh man, she's just an MS. Usually it's deteriorative. They just kind of get worse and worse. And
Yeah.
so this is actually she's gaining more from this,
Yeah.
and it's light. It's just like I said, it's just holding the needle, and
Mm.
and she's feeling so much more all straight down.
Now
So it's
that's fantastic. I mean, we have this. I mean, it's a story. I actually have a video of her. I might upload it as a video later on if she gives me permission to do so. But Master Joe was also he had patients that couldn't move their legs at all, so completely paralyzed. And within a week of Master Joe doing what he does, opening the channels, applying chi and everything else, she was able to start walking. Only a
wow.
little bit, but she could move a mouse, she could feed herself. Like her life changed completely. And it just goes to show that once you've got some sort of control over chi, that the kind of results you can get from treatment is phenomenal. I'm not saying this is always the case. As any
Yeah.
doctor would tell you, it's sometimes you get great results, sometimes you don't. But it definitely shows that there's something different happening, and it's not
Yeah.
the same as just putting needles and hoping for the best. This is something that's tangible, that has a different kind of result, way past placebo, I would say. At
Oh,
least that's my
definitely.
experience, and I would imagine that's your experience. And especially, some people might watch this and say, "Well, it's just placebo." But if you speak to the patients, if you
Uh,
actually take the time to speak to the patients, then people will go, "If this is placebo, I'll have placebo anytime." Because
that's
the
what
results,
I
yeah,
said the same thing. Yeah, I said the same thing. I'm like, oh yeah, if that's placebo, I'll take it. I'll
yeah,
take it. It's
because
amazing.
when something improves something that so many other people have failed to improve for you by a big margin, then you don't care if it's placebo. It's obviously not placebo, but you don't care if it's placebo because something has improved, something which everybody else has failed to improve. So it's fantastic, man. It's such good results. And I'm so happy to see this happen to you because, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Like, honestly, I'm not just saying that, but, like you really showed kind of, loyalty to me, and I appreciated that. And that's why on the trips, I was always trying to give back as much as I could to you. And I'm so chuffed that this happened to you. Like you can't imagine. So brilliant. Like
Yeah,
I'm so happy. Okay, let's look
totally.
at the last one because this last one is the very impressive one. This is the one that I think the naysayers can't really say too much about. So let's have a look at this one, and you can talk me through, what's happening here.
Yeah. So this guy and anyone who watches the videos, they can always click on and zoom even in closer.
Hmm.
But I'm doing lung one, which is like it's an entry point um, on the channel, and he's having all sorts of fasciculations. It's very
Yeah,
powerful. He has no control over his arms,
yeah.
and as it zooms
Talk.
in,
Yeah,
you can see the bicep and the tricep,
yeah. You can
and
clearly see that. Yeah,
yeah, and some of the delt like fasciculating and moving,
mm.
and he's describing it too. And it's a longer video because I couldn't. Most of these videos are longer, but I could only upload so much
Yeah,
because of whatever. Um, and he was actually describing that he feels it on both arms. And so in the longer video, his left arm is actually reacting as well.
pulsing
And
and
yeah, and the back of it, you can see the tricep like kind of going like
yeah,
this, and it's cool because this show actually shows the pulse of the chi going because it's fairly rhythmic.
yeah,
It's fair things reacting at a certain amplitude, and not perfect, but you can see a rhythm
yeah.
to it too. And what's interesting is he felt it in the sternum first,
Okay.
and then it migrated to the treated point, and then his arm started to react, and then it skipped over, and he was almost like biphasic, like
Yeah,
between right arm and left arm. It was like going like this, and I think it speaks more to the fascial connections than it does
yeah,
the neurological connections, because we can only justify some kind of connection like that, unless I'm wrong about the neurology of it. But I don't think there's any true pathways that can justify that besides fascial. And we know it's conductive. We
yeah,
definitely know that. And it holds its own conduction if we know anything about the interstitium and the work that's been done on that.
yeah,
So the the beautiful thing, I mean, I was doing lung one because his lung pulse was so weak, and he has a lot of stuff wrong with him, but his lung pulse is the weakest, and so that I feel is a good point because it's the first point that shows up from internal to external,
mm,
and fascially we can justify that because there's like the sternopericardial ligament. There's an
mhm,
inferior and superior ligament straight from, or it's pericardial sternal. I can't remember, but either way, they it's like that fascia that wraps. It's the pericardium, and then that's contacted with the heart, and then that's connected with the endothoracic connective tissue too. That the endothoracic fascia, and so that is now contacting with the whole chest wall,
yeah,
and then you have literal connections straight from the organs, the cavity that the organs are in, and then out to the appendages because the fascia is so thick coming up in
yeah,
through the pecs, and then out right where that point starts to show itself.
yeah.
So so you have this justification of current, being able to travel in, around,
Yes.
and distributing out like this. So it was a great example of like, well, how's it reacting on the left arm if and it's like, well, it
Yeah,
felt in the center first and then the right, and then it's just finding it's like water or electricity, it's finding the pathway of least resistance
yeah.
and distributing.
Yeah,
So
and that's what a lot of people, in the simplest way, explain the meridians to be is the pathways of electrical conductivity through the body, the pathways of least resistance, and the way that energy flows in the body, and that's an entire, full body connective network. So it's fantastic to see, and it just shows you that connection in real time. Is your your input is here, but the left arm is reacting. There's an effect here. So it's fantastic to see. And what about the patient afterwards? So is he seeing really good results from this? Is
yeah, he can't walk. He has a genetic disease, and it eats away at all his joints,
oh,
and he has almost no circulation below his. He rides a scooter. He can't. He doesn't have any power in his legs. Can't really move them that well at all. And so I do those stomach 26 points on him, and we get movement out of his feet, out of his legs, like
Wow.
involuntary. And he describes that too. I have a video of that too that I think you've seen. And he is so inspired, even again, like MS, this is just something that deteriorates and they just
Yeah.
keep deteriorating.
It doesn't
He's
really
so,
get better. Yeah.
yeah, and he's so inspired that he wants to really try to do PT
Yeah.
for his legs because he's feeling more. The best way you can describe is like he's feeling more power in them. He's feeling like they're alive more, and his feet are. He describes as toasty because
Well,
he has
that's
like
yeah.
little circulation.
Mm.
So, so he's really inspired to try to get these things going. He's always telling me he just feels better. He's there's
Yeah.
just something there's more umph to him,
And
and
that's
so
fantastic. I mean,
yeah,
as a doctor, and even if as a clinician, whatever you want to refer to yourself as, I mean, that's our goal, isn't it? Just to have our patients feel better, like to
yeah,
have them be better. And no one is claiming that we can cure anything and fix anything, and like no one is making that claim, but it's another tool that gives you that little edge over just using needles, that gives you slightly better results than you would otherwise achieve. And I think that's fantastic. And if your patients are seeing that's fantastic as well. That's really, really good results. So yesterday I asked you, are people noticing this? And you wanted to tell me a story about your town and so on. And I stopped you because I said, oh, I want to hear the story for the first time live. So do you remember, you look like you don't remember the story.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It
There we
was
go.
it
So
was
yeah,
more. I was trying to think. Yeah,
yeah,
um, we have a couple other practitioners in the area, and again, it's more the cultural acceptance of wanting to be more academic
hmm
and justifying things through lots of. I'm not saying that academic knowledge is bad or that we shouldn't keep learning about like neuroanatomy and all these connections and chemical pathways and why things work the way they do on the chemical level, but there's kind of like a reluctance to accept something that might be more simple and esoteric because
yeah.
it doesn't seem as heady. It doesn't seem as well, how many studies are in it and how many,
Yeah.
this is kind of an uppity nature and, people want to wear their white coats and I'm not against white coats, but
Yeah.
it's like, I choose not to wear one. I don't need it, but uh, there's kind of talk, a little bit of buzz in the community about because people are starting to say like this is happening, and so I have some asking now, some practitioners going, "What exactly are you doing? Like what? So what is this?" And it's kind of interesting to hear people dropping in and ask, they're curious,
Yeah.
and that's probably when you asked in the beginning why I got into this too, like this avenue of exploration is like this opens people up to, I think, who we are more. We're more than just a bag of chemicals. Like there's something, our potential is far greater than I think we give ourselves credit for with the limitations of the tools that we use to test our reality. So, when you have something that seems either not possible or probable or, uh, you know, out of our comfort zone for what we think is physically possible, it also opens you up to what else is possible. What else can we do? What
Yeah.
else are we capable of? This is like an important question for us, and it gives people. It's more. It's to inspire,
Mhm.
and so when people have hope and they're inspired, that changes a lot.
Yes. No, it,
So
it definitely does.
so
And
I feel that's yeah.
it's fantastic. It really, really is. And I mean, it's working. And the nice thing is, and like I say this with a lot of excitement, is this is only the beginning for you. This is only going to get stronger. It's only going to get, more controllable. It's only going to get more tangible for the patients and so on. So um, it's just the beginning. So this is the early stages of Faqi, and then later it'll become stronger and stronger, and eventually, hopefully, up to the point where you've got these really kind of powerful muscle locks and really strong electric currents flowing and so on. But even if it doesn't, um, what you've achieved is fantastic. My point is just this is only the beginning, and there's so much more for you to develop and to kind of see. And I'm really excited to kind of see where this goes for you.
Yeah, and I don't mean to limit myself, but I've said to my wife and some other people, I said, look, if this is where I plateau, so be it. Like I don't I'm happy to have something. 'Cause I think like any of us that have been trying putting in the work and doing it for as long as we've been doing it, it's like when you see any fruit, even if
Yeah,
it's a berry, if it's a seed of a berry, you're like, okay,
yeah,
like it's justifiable and it's all for, if it wasn't for naught.
yeah,
So it's just, I'm happy with this. And yeah, I definitely have hope that it's going to get stronger, like you said, and I'll keep practicing and exploring. And, I wish I could deliver some of the results that we showed to everyone that I tried on, but it's definitely not doing that. Like
yeah,
I'm not like, it's not predictable every time. And it's like we talked about the limitations of what I have on any given day compared with how stagnant or blocked a certain person is.
yeah,
And it's, they talk about receptivity, but it's not like that they're not receptive. It's more true variables that inhibit
yeah.
the flow
Yeah,
in any given person.
there's more resistance in the body in that area. The energy's not flowing the way that it should. You might feel a
Yeah.
bit unwell on the day, or you didn't train well, or whatever it may be. But I am I am so excited about this, and I'm going to support you all the way. And that's why, yesterday I took the time to kind of teach you new practices to really kind of build the chi and really open up um, the connections from the dantian to the hand, so that you can get a stronger current going. So I definitely am going to support you, and anybody that's my student that trains with me, I'm going to support in the same way, because there's for me personally, and you guys know this, it doesn't matter what I can do. It matters what my students can eventually do, because there's so many, these Chinese masters that we go and see. It's fantastic what they can do, but sometimes they don't always pass that on. And I want to pass on and get you guys to achieve a lot, because that's the point of it, isn't it? So we can help more and more people. So I'm really excited. I'm gonna support you as much as I can. Um,
Oh, I'm so grateful for that. And that's, I mean, I've definitely gone through share of practitioners and masters that they didn't share enough, like for it to be worth it, or um, it's like they don't have students that can replicate.
yeah,
And so it took a long time to find, okay, who's not only can they do, but can they share and do
yeah,
they have students that can replicate? And so that's probably one of the biggest
yeah.
uh,
No, it
blocks
it
to
really
learning.
is. And I mean, for me, I was a student at one point, and that was a big thing. I would see all these amazing teachers, and I'm like, well, the students, what can they do? And the students can't do anything. And then it kind of puts you off wanting to learn, because what is going to make you? Everybody likes to think I'm special. He's going to treat me differently. He's going to teach me, but why? Why would that be? So I know what it feels like to be the student that's looking at this person that can do these amazing things, but none of their students can, and it's really frustrating, because why would you be different? Why would you all of a sudden learn stuff? It's just not how it works. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard, but and I'll say this, a little bit of honesty from my side. It's so hard when you're special to give away what makes you special to other people. Like it's hard. So I'm not saying, I understand why it can be so hard for some teachers to really want to teach, because it's a difficult thing to give away what makes you special and have other people be special as well. But then you
Yeah.
gain a different kind of specialty, like a specialness, I guess is the right word. Whereas, you're the one who is actually passing on things, and it's a nice feeling. It's nice to see, and I mean, the way you're helping people is fantastic, and that's what we want
Yeah.
to do, isn't it? That's why I got into this, is to inspire people to be healthy, inspire people to practice and to do good for others and so on. Regardless of the hiccups and the issues along the way. So
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
But to emphasize I mean, it's not just about this kind of cultivation too, because your program emphasizes simple things like are you getting good sleep? Like, are you going to bed before 10 p.m.? Are you eating good food? Are you super stressed? Are you working out like at least somewhat? Are you getting like your heart rate up? Like the simple stuff that then helps lay the foundation for the Neigong and cultivation, all this stuff. But it's super important. And
It
I
is.
never saw any of the masters emphasize the simple stuff like that. Sure, they might give you a couple exercises to do, and but I mean, I think that's what's really important about your program and how you guide people in a multitude of different ways, and it all comes together for better effect if you keep up with all those good things. And I drop out all the time, like with food, or sometimes I'm, sleep. Like, forget it. Like,
Everyone
I'm
does.
not
Everyone
perfect with any
does.
of that
Yeah.
stuff. Like, this is no way. But you have your better weeks and your worse weeks. But it's all the fact that it's emphasized, and that's part of the program, is probably one of the best things. It's, on top of the knowledge that you've had.
Yeah, but this
And
is sorry, carry on.
no, and I was saying, and like, we've sacrificed with trips and
Yeah.
money and time away and all the practice, but even you, like, going, like, the time you spent in China, the time you spent to learn Mandarin, to connect with masters, to bring, for students to come to you, to come to them through you. Like, it's even more of a sacrifice for the people like yourself over the years that have laid that kind of work that no one else has done. So that's even more important, that it's not just what you're teaching now, um, and what you've learned. It's everything that you did to make that happen, to form a group. So it's like, the groups wouldn't be possible if you couldn't connect with these masters, and not many people have done that. Well, I've only known less than a handful of people that actually did that work to make the
Yeah.
things happen. So it's
It's
super
hard.
important.
It's a hard thing to do. And so the two things I want to cover quickly and then get off me, because this is your video, is so yeah, traveling to China, living in China, learning the language, connecting with the teachers, getting to a level where I was competent enough to start teaching, that I could help students if things go wrong. Was a big thing, because there's a lot of people who are teaching nowadays that they learn for a couple of years and then all of a sudden they open schools, and it's not a good thing. Um,
Yeah.
so it's yeah, it's a lot to do that, and there's a lot of people that you can't learn from books at any sufficient level. You just can't. It's just not how it works. And learning these things, it's a difficult path. It is, but it's so worth it in the end. If you put in the time, and you really kind of find somebody that's going to help you and guide you, it really makes a big difference. And then going back to the health thing, there's so many teachers that they have this really kind of good student, and he's the golden child because he makes fantastic progress, and it's never really emphasized what makes that person the golden child. And what makes them the golden child is normally doing all the basics very well. So they have a
Mm.
very high level of health. They have a very clean diet. They exercise. They have a robust mind that can manage stress. So all these core things that they're doing very well translate into them being the student that does the best, that has the most progress. And these thousands of people that I've seen over the years and all these trips that I've done, I've always spoken to the people that do well, to kind of learn, like, what are you doing differently? It's not just about training. Yeah, there are ways to train that make it better, but the people that do really well are always the ones that have the basics, on point, and that's super important. Okay, so let's get back to you. I don't want to.
Yeah.
This wasn't supposed to be about me,
No,
but
it's
I
fine.
appreciate the kind words. I really do. Thank you.
Yeah, I
So
think it's important people know that. They
yeah.
really should.
So this might be a weird question, but I wanted to ask what I think people would want to hear, and then we'll have one more question, and then I think we're pretty much done for time because you said you need to go soon. So, how has what's happened to you over the last 6 to 9 months? This change changed your understanding of training practice and what's actually being cultivated. So, has there been any change in that? Your kind of understanding of what's happening.
Hmm. I don't know if my understanding of it has been any better.
At least you can do it,
Like I can do it. It's more like after the fact. It's like something happens and then I analyze it. And then I say, well, what just happened to make that happen?
Yeah.
Like, was what so it's more about exploring mechanisms with the
Okay.
same practices that had just been accumulating over time.
Fair enough.
And so, yeah, yeah, it's still a guessing game. And I tell the people that I treat too, I say, look, we're exploring. This is exploring, and we're getting effect. And now then we have to see what that effect is, which I think they should do in science more. Like, they're always trying to figure out a mechanism before it's really applied. And it's like, why not see something happen and then explore the mechanisms? They're always trying to derive an answer before they're seeing anything happen. So it's predictive
Mm.
based on just very secluded, and isolated information. without taking all the variables into account. And so it's harder, but once you see an effect, then take that effect and then reanalyze it and then try to dig into what the mechanism is. Because it's people make a lot of assumptions, which is like you said, you can't learn from a book because you can get an idea from a book, but unless you're applying it and then seeing what's happening and then reanalyzing and rehashing, then that's where the learning and the mistakes, all the mistakes, holy shit, the mistakes. So like that's where you start to learn, that those are your greatest teachers, I think. Um, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that happen along the way that you can misinterpret, and it's a difficult path. I take my hat off to people that that learn from books and get anywhere at all. But yeah, I mean, to each his own. So my last
Yeah.
question, and then I know you got to go, is what would you say to someone who is curious um about learning these things and who wants to get started? Maybe they're a TCM doctor or whatever, or they want to learn to help people. What is your advice to people that want to get started into something like
I'm,
this?
I mean, I don't mean to like plug you again, but like I would say, you have to look for someone who's experienced and can teach and has a legitimate background in all this stuff. So you really should, yeah, you need some kind of guidance. You can't just like do this on your own fully. And it's important to get, just like we had to get, you can't just do the exercises, even if you're doing them right. You have to make sure you're not blocked per se. You have to make sure those things are cleared to lay a foundation and then have the guidance. And then you need some kind of treatment on yourself.
Yeah.
So, if someone wants to join a group like yours, that would be that would be great to like join, learn, participate, and then if you can, go on a trip or two, go on, get some assessment done. This is the way of learning and cultivating. So yeah, they need, um, pardon the pun, authentic
Yeah,
guidance.
they do. So I mean,
So,
that wasn't even me fishing for a plug either.
no,
It's
no, not at all,
this
not
is
at
the
all.
way to do it. This is if this is what you want to achieve, if they want to achieve what you've achieved, they should follow in your footsteps. They should do the same practices that you've done. They should learn the same things that you did. It's the logical thing to do. And I think for a lot of people, the issue comes in with hope and wishful thinking. They think, oh, but what if that person, what if he's saying is true? What if I can really get, magical powers on a weekend course? What if I can really Faqi in 3 months? What if I can really, but where's the others? Where's all the students that, like why do they not exist? Why is there nobody on YouTube, uploading videos of them, doing all sorts of, incredible feats if it is that easy, if it is that quick, like where are they? I think these days all I'm seeing on YouTube is just people using machines and faking stuff, unfortunately. Um, which is, it's a sad state of affairs, but that's how it is. But yeah, I don't want to, kind of blow my own horn, but you know, if you want to achieve what people have achieved, you got to do what they did to achieve that thing. You can't try and do something else. There's no shortcuts. There's no anything. And Blake, you're a fantastic example. You've put in the time. It's 11 years, right?
Mhm.
You've met multiple different teachers. Before me, with me, and you've been with me for the last 4 years. But you put in the time before you met me. You went out, you met people, you met teachers, you started training. You've done your degree, you've got this fantastic clinic. I mean, people can't see it now, but your clinic is fantastic. I mean, it's so beautiful. It's big as well. Like I'm really impressed when you showed me the other day. So
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
yeah, I'm just super chuffed for you, man. And that's all I can say. And I know you're in a rush, so I want to thank you for coming today and for sharing with us. And yeah, I'm hoping we're going to be able to do this again in another 6 to 12 months or 2 years, however long it takes, and have some more impressive results and some more impressive videos to share and so on. But yeah, I'm really chuffed, and thank you for talking to me today. Thank you for sharing with everybody else who's going to be watching this video.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you. Thank you for all the guidance. I was really appreciative. So, uh, yeah, yeah,
Okay. So for
very
everybody
good.
watching, I'm going to be putting in Blake's details in the description. So if you want to get in contact, I don't know if you have a website or whatever, just send me all the information. I'll put it in the description for anybody that wants to get in contact with you and wants to book some bookings or whatever it may be. Um, yeah, and then I'm going to wish you all the best, and thank you for everybody that's watching this video. The way we've got to add this, so we did another little quick take.
Yeah.
You wanted to mention something, and what was that?
Oh, that I've been talking with some of the other senior students that have been practicing pretty much just as long, like 10, 11 years, whatever, maybe longer. And definitely Seth, for sure, has been experimenting with the needle and getting similar results.
Yeah.
We kind of trade stories a little bit, and there's even some continuity between what we're feeling and what we're starting to say people are feeling, and then what we're feeling, and so there's even more cohesion with the experience of how this is unfolding for different people, not just myself. So that's exciting because now you have multiple students that are starting to play with this, and it's all through the needle, but as a tool, that's really wonderful to get the same sensations and same feedback. And also Andrew, that
Yeah.
I know he's had a couple experiences with some conductivity through the needle,
Yeah.
even maybe some muscle fasciculation, something. It's just these guys don't have people, I think, to help video it when it
Yeah.
happens. I don't, they're just not, they don't have the availability of that, but it is happening. So you have multiple students that are starting to elicit this, and it's exciting because
Yeah,
it's not just
it's very
it's not a
exciting.
one-off freak off
Yeah.
happenstance.
Yeah, it's multiple students that are developing the same abilities. So the training is working. The methods that I teach, they work. Like, that is starting to really show now with different students being able to do stuff. And we were talking as well, so, and I was like, oh, we should have talked about this. The difference between the very strong kind of Faqi that people see all the time and this. And I was saying that I feel this is more impressive. I feel this is so much more therapeutic and beneficial for the patients because it's not this strong force that's locking out the muscles. That looks impressive. It does, but it's not got the same level of therapeutic effect as this. So it seems like it's doing less, but on a internal capacity of how it affects the nervous system and the body and how it regulates healing, I feel this is significantly more powerful. So what is your opinion on like is that what you're finding, or is it different for you?
Yeah, no, I think the overtaking of such a strong current has its own effect, and sometimes I think it's a little too. I'm not sure, but I think it's a little too much for the body and the person experiencing that sensation. It's extremely strong,
Yeah.
and I don't know how that's communicating with the body in a way different from this, because this seems to find almost like an intelligence. It's finding where it wants to go through a more subtle pathway, and it's letting the person experience something without being overtaken by such a strong sensation that that's all they can feel,
Yeah.
you know? And so, like, I've definitely had some people where there's definitely consistency with the points that I described before, like stomach 26 or lung one, these things I've been doing repeatedly. But there's also times where I find that the cheese going in, they feel it locally, but then it distributes to somewhere else that they have a problem.
Hmm.
Like there was a lady I did lung one on the left, and because there was a local problem, but she had severe scoliosis. And what happened was the second sensation she felt was a spasm. It was like a fluttery spasm. It didn't hurt, but it was a movement in the lower back on the same side
Okay.
where the curve is the worst. And she has this big bulgy paraspinal, it's just
Wow.
bulgy.
Yeah.
But she said she felt a fluttering in that area. And I know, at least for a general justification, that lung and bladder, they're the same on the Chinese clock. They complement each other. That's one partnership that can communicate with one another. So my only, my only justification for it was that the chi was finding that zone and going to where it was needed with the relationship between those two lines. And it was upper anterior and lower posterior on the same side, which is a common relationship. It's just one of them, but it's a common one. So, and I don't know if someone was getting blasted by like a huge overtaking Faqi that would happen. It's too strong, in my opinion. And that kind of thing doesn't happen with my experience.
Yeah.
I don't think any of ours with these really strong currents going in. It's just like pure pathway, strong overtaking. I'm sure it has its therapeutic effect, but this is different.
Yeah, no, this is definitely different, and I find this just to be more beneficial, just because I've seen, even in myself, I don't want the super strong Faqi all the time because it hurts. Like it's really annoying.
It does hurt. The fingers are
And yeah,
terrible.
I don't really look forward to it necessarily. Whereas stuff like this, it's obvious. I can feel the current flowing inside of me, and when I'm doing it and working on people, they can feel something flowing. They can feel a movement of a hot liquid or buzzing or gentle electricity or whatever. But yeah, it has an intelligence behind it. It's something special and unique, and maybe not visually as kind of impressive as the super strong Faqi stuff, but from a therapeutic perspective, it's so good. I think it's really, really you know, it's in my opinion even more impressive just because the results that you're getting are so much more. And don't get me wrong, Master Joe and like he uses this all the time. He just doesn't mention it. He's touching needles and injecting chi, so he does this all the time as well. And then he does the final fletchy at the end because that's what people want, or they think they want until they've had it once or twice, and then they're like, no, I don't really want
Yeah,
it
yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
But
yeah.
so what we're doing is not unique in that sense, but it's definitely the bigger part of the therapeutic effect of treatment is this stuff, and it's not so much the super powerful stuff at the end, which it's wonderful to show that you can do it, but is it the main thing? And it's draining, and it's yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you so much for everything, man. It's been really fun chatting, and I'm looking at the clock because I'm aware that you said that you have to go to work, so
Yeah, I'm pushing
we
it, but it's
yeah
such a
yeah
good conversation.
yeah.
I'm like, I can squeeze out a little more.
Yeah, but we covered the main things. We've come back on. We started recording again just to cover these things. And I mean, I'm sure we're going to have another chat soon. And whatever we missed today, we can do again. But thank you so much, and take care.
Yeah, thanks, Rudy.